Hi, I'm Claire and I like to paint in acrylics on canvas and with a very abstract form, and in actual fact I create angel art. I love to paint abstract angels and I'm going to share with you how I go about doing that, and here's an example of one and you'll see me be able to create that for you as I demonstrate. Here we go. So I absolutely love to paint in acrylics on canvas, and specifically little angel designs here. So I've got this one that I've already done, and I'm going to attempt to do something very similar. It probably won't be exactly the same when I paint, because it's abstract art. It kind of takes on its own personality and I'll go in my own unique way. But this will just give you an idea if you want to have a go at painting in acrylics on canvas but you don't really know where to begin. So I'm going to just start off by doing the background colour. I'm going to use this is Reeves brand, and the colour's called Rose Madder, and I think it's just a beautiful base colour. So this might just give you a little bit of inspiration. Now you can paint straight on to the canvas. They usually come primed, and as you can see I'm just using brush strokes up and down. I've got my trusted brush here that's had a lot of use. This is about 1 inch thick paintbrush, but you can use different thicknesses. I mean, the beauty of acrylics is you can use tools as well. You can use different sized brushes, and I'm just going to do the base area. It's always good to set your background colour, sets the tone. It takes away the brightness of the white, and because acrylics dry so quickly, you can pretty much have the area dried before you sort of move on to your subject in the centre. And I think this is such a nice warming colour. I'm doing this quite quickly just so you can see how quickly it dries, but also you've got that base area as well. Don't need to worry too much about how the brush strokes are looking at this stage. This is something that we can change and improve on, because the beauty of working with acrylics is that you can layer up. You can put layer upon layer, which will give you different effects and different techniques, and you can fill in the area. But actually, because it's abstract, it just gives you so much more versatility. So as I'm doing this, the reason I choose to paint angels is because I don't know, I think I'm just drawn. I absolutely love angels, and when I paint them I don't plan it necessarily. It just comes to me and I paint them. Sometimes I paint them bright colours, sometimes I'll have a bright background like this one. I thought this was a good example to show you today. And other times I like to paint them sort of monochrome angels. They look quite magical and mysterious. I can show you some of those as well later, and they tend to be on huge canvases. I've got this on my easel here, which is if you're starting out painting, it's probably the best thing to do is to invest in a nice easel. You can get them quite cheaply. This is a more expensive one because it gets a lot of use, and I can change the height of it, and I can angle it as well to where I want it. I've done it more upright for you today just so that you can really get to see. Now you should notice as well, as I'm painting, it's starting to dry. It dries off really quickly. I'll just hold on to that there because I've got it on the edge so that I can have this one as an example to show you. So bear with. So this hasn't taken too long at all. That's just prepped the area. It's toned down there. You've got a nice base colour. It's really lovely, inviting colour. And as I say, we haven't worried too much about how those brush strokes look, because we can always play around with the brush strokes and layer it on at a later date. So now we're going to think about the beginnings of the angel and how we want her to look. So I normally start off with sort of the base, the main part, the body area, before I go into the wings and the texturing of the wings. And I think about how we want that to look within the frame. So I'm going to choose a really nice colour. This colour is called, it's a System 3 brand, and it's called Buff Titanium. And so it's sort of, I'm changing my paintbrush as well. I've got a different one, or you can always wash the brushes out, and it's quite easy to wash the brushes out. And I'm going to go for almost like a little triangular shape in the centre here. And if we think about proportions, I'm going to make the triangle sort of the main central point here. And I've gone for another about an inch thick paintbrush. I've switched my paintbrush over because I've switched the colour. Now, as you can see, when you work with acrylics, they're so beautiful to work with because you can basically build up the colour and you can layer it up. Now, what's lovely about this is you can see some of the background colour coming through. But if I want to, and as this dries so quickly, I can add in some more colour. Now, this is sort of forming like a bit of an ethereal look here. So I'm just using downward brush strokes. And look, I mean, this is beautiful how it's coming out here. Almost looks like magical sort of see-through little dress there. Now I'm going to choose a different brush for the head shape. Same colour, this is that Buff Titanium. I'm going to look to create like a little round. Now this is quite thick. I'm going to take the brush strokes down, just include that within my design. Now can you see I've deliberately left a little area there in the middle, not in the middle but in the neck area, because we're going to find a nice way of joining that together, and we might even use a tool for that. It's quite easy to start working with acrylics, especially abstract as well, because you can kind of use your own stream of consciousness, I like to call it, where I just like to kind of paint and be free and see what works nicely, see what we like the look of. We'll leave that there for the moment like that. And if you're an absolute beginner, you know, hopefully this will give you some sort of inspiration as to where you can go with it and what you might want to do with it. Right, I'm thinking now about the wingspan of the angel. Now this might look strange to you. These aren't little tiny arms. This is going to form the span of the wings, the way that she's going to open up her wings. And I want it to look quite feathery. You might have seen that I like to paint feathers as well onto pebbles. We don't have to be measured out. This is, you know, there's something quite lovely about the artistic freedom of sort of painting in the areas that you feel work for the subject. So I'm just really starting to think about how we can make wings, and we make that. I'm using my brush strokes, small, much smaller brush strokes, as you can see, to create like a feathered effect. I mean, that's quite beautiful. And there's not much of the base colour coming through at this point, but what is coming through is just really lovely to kind of merge the two colours together to make the foreground and the background have a sort of magical synchronicity, I suppose. What you'll need to get started is you'll just need to purchase a canvas You can buy stretched canvases, and they come fully primed as well and ready to go, so you can paint straight on them. I just need to get a little bit more of that colour onto my palette. And then of course a variety of paints and colours of paints. I'll just show you my palette here. As you can see, it's had a lot of use over the years, so I just squeeze a little bit of colour onto that. And now I'm just going to work the brush strokes. So we've got this beautiful kind of open, ethereal wingspan that's coming down. So you'll just need your canvas, your paints, you might want to, your paint brushes, and I'd get a variety of different size paint brushes, and then you can create different effects and use different techniques. And then you might want to also use tools like a palette knife, and a palette's always good for mixing and also for squeezing out the paint, and then you can use that. So you can easily pick up the amount of paint that you want from your palette, just get it on your brush there. Can you see how I'm starting to create these little brush strokes? And it's just giving that movement as well, you know, we're getting that movement, we're starting to get a little personality. Beautiful. So there, she's coming along. So now what I'm going to do, and this will dry ever so quickly, what I'm going to do now is add a little bit more of the texture within the dress. And I'm thinking about using different colours. I quite like the metallic colours that go within this. If you can see on this side, I've included some metallics, and what they do is they shine. So when the light shines on them, you'll see these really beautiful shimmers of colour, and that just looks quite amazing, really, quite magical. So I'm going to just use a little bit now. This is Studio Acrylics, and this colour is a beautiful colour called, where is it? High Viscosity, and it's a blue colour. And I'm just going to show you now how I can just use this and pick up some of the paint and just add in a little bit of shimmer, and also you see the colours coming through from the base colour, and it's just almost looking like shadows as well. I just think that looks beautiful. I want to pull it through, only a small amount of that. Try and grab a little bit more. Pop some on my palette. Grab a little bit more of that. So I'll pop some more on here. Can you see how it's got that lovely metallic finish? So I'm just sort of feeling where I think it would work in terms of sort of shadow and placement. But again, when you're creating abstract art, you can't go wrong, really. You just got to have a go, you know, have a go, see where it takes you. Think what might look nice, how the colours might shine and also complement one another. Well, I think this just looks lovely with a few little brush strokes. They've got a little fine feathery feel. It's coming along nicely now. Let's get a little bit more of the buff in there. Buff there, back again. We're just mixing them together. Keep it quite light strokes, tiny little. This is a smaller brush, you see, so I can get that more of a feathered effect. Joining that together there. So we can see we're starting to get, I'm feeling like I might want to take her dress down a little bit more here at the bottom. Like she's sort of flying up. In the sky. There we are. It's quite nice because it almost like disappears. Just kind of keeps that magical effect. So we've got a little bit more shape to the feathers there forming. Now, about, I've got this little sort of like a plastic, it's like a palette knife. And I'm just going to take some of the buff titanium. I'm just going to do a few little dots, which kind of give her a posture, a neck structure. And again, it looks quite nice because it's textured. And I'm going to do the same as I take it through the feathered area. So you've just got a little bit of texture. The beauty with acrylics is you can layer it up. You can keep layering it. You can move it accordingly. Layer it and layer it like that. And then we'll come back to the face now. And with the face, I'm just going to find a little bit more of an opaque colour. So we've got like a nice silvery opaque colour here. This again is the Studio Acrylics, so it's got that metallic feel with it and that metallic look. So I'm just going to kind of make her face stand out in a more metallic style. So I've popped some of that on here. We're just going to go around this side. There we are. I'm just bringing her in and giving her this gorgeous little facial. And what angel wouldn't be complete without some sort of ethereal halo form. That, I mean, I'm just feeling it's coming out, and I'll add some of the titanium and the buff colour. And there we are. So she's kind of got a beautiful effect that she's flying quite magically. Now, if I had more time, I would perhaps include a little bit more of the layering and the brush strokes and the feather work, but hopefully my little angel demonstration has just given you a bit of inspiration there to get going with your angel designs.